I feel I must weigh in on this specious, so-called debate about gun control. The notion that we can legislate our way out of every problem that arises is at the core of what is wrong with our society. Background checks do nothing but feed the database the power-mad elite are using to root out and destroy any dissension which might threaten the economic and social inequity which is their pride and joy and most coveted resource. Wealth fosters wealth, and poverty too is a self-perpetuating cycle. I am not thrilled by a world in which the mentally ill and the least intelligent of us have access to deadly weapons. Unfortunately, that is already the case. Some of the most mentally challenged and emotionally unstable people in this country are already armed to the teeth. That is because they are among the ranks of the military and the outrageous number of overfunded, unnecessary police forces throughout this land. People need to be able to defend themselves, and if the intent of being armed is to protect one's family and liberty, such security should not be denied anyone of sound mind. The government would have you believe that this domestic army is there to serve and protect the average citizen. Unless you are among the privileged few, the 1%, this most assuredly is not the case. Law enforcement exists to feed the system. The privatized and profitable prison system, the corrupt and classist justice system, and of course, the parasitic and endlessly grasping tentacles of local, state, and federal government in all their ludicrous redundancy. The blame for Sandy Hook and every other similar massacre in recent history can be placed squarely upon the shoulders of our greed-driven and unapologetically cutthroat society. The first step we must take in stemming the tide of violence is to stop equivocating murder. How can we vilify the extinguishing of young innocents here in America and at the same time celebrate and even glorify the taking of lives by proxy assassins sent forth in our name, or by cowardly drone strikes which pose not even the slightest risk of harm or capture to the bringers of death? I put it to you that the killing of Osama bin Laden and the killing of the children at Sandy Hook were both equally heinous acts. Take a moment to get over your shock and horror while I explain. Both of these events were acts of armed aggression with the sole intent of taking life. Yet on the one hand, we have quite understandable pain and sorrow. And on the other hand, we have comedians and so-called journalists laughing it up, while politicians and soldiers pat each other on the back as though something great and noble had been achieved. When we can finally stop looking at the forfeiture of human life only through the prism of our own bias and self-serving emotions, then, and only then, can we begin to travel the long road to reclaiming our humanity. An abhorrence for murder cannot be legislated. It must be woven into the very fabric of a society.